Okay, as you already know, my name is Julie Tecoris. I'm from the County of San Diego's Vector Control Program, and I'm here to talk a little bit today about our program, what we do. Mainly I'm going to focus on mosquitoes, and then I'm going to talk about rats a little bit. Things that you might see in your backyard that could cause a few problems that you might want to just go ahead and look for. So I'll try to keep it light and entertaining and throw a few jokes in there so you won't get too bored. Okay, so what is a vector? Does anybody know what a vector is? Exactly. So it's any organism that can transmit diseases. So we're talking about things like West Nile virus, or I'm sure as many of you have heard lately, Zika virus. That's a common one in the news. So a vector can be a mosquito, a tick, a rat, a flea. There's lots of different vectors out there. So those are the four that we mainly deal with here in San Diego. So what's the vector control program? It's funny because a lot of people don't even know we exist. So we got to get out there and do a little bit more outreach. So it makes my job have a little bit more security, I guess. So the vector control program, our whole motto is that we protect and promote environmental and public health, safety, and welfare. So we're responsible for educating the public and controlling flies, mosquitoes, rats, ticks, fleas, all of that. And we also do a little bit of testing, that way we know, we really want to know what's going on in our community. We want to know where the diseases are, if there's anything that the public needs to be informed about or needs to be worried about. That's what we're here for. So a couple of facts about mosquitoes. We have 24 different kinds of mosquitoes here in San Diego. Really, honestly, you can't tell the difference unless you put them underneath a microscope. It's really difficult. They're very small, as I'm sure many people think. You probably are all pretty educated. You know what crane flies are. Those have been popping up recently with the springtime weather and rain. We get a lot of questions on those. Those are not mosquitoes. Those are crane flies. They're pretty big. They're flying around. They're pesky. Can't hurt you. Just feed off nectar. But as far as mosquitoes, they're the little ones. And so the females, they're the only ones that actually bite humans and need blood. They need that blood because they need that protein to produce their eggs. And the scary thing is, they only need about 1/2 inch of water. So if you think about, if you take one of your water caps and the top of that water bottle, that's enough water for them to breathe in, which is really terrifying because I don't know, I don't have a backyard, I live in an apartment, but I know I leave things laying around as everyone does, and we get those tiny sprinkles of rain, and that's enough to collect for mosquitoes to lay their eggs. And when they lay their eggs, they can lay up to 300 eggs at a time depending on the species. So that's a lot of mosquitoes that we have to worry about. So the mosquito has 4 life stages: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. So it's pretty simple. So first, the female will find any stagnant standing water. The common vector for West Nile virus is a Culex mosquito, and they're an urban mosquito that really likes that dirty, kind of just nasty water that sits by storm drains or collects in containers. And she'll come and she'll lay her egg raft, and that's what you can see right here. They can either be white, or sometimes, you know, it's really weird, but they can look like dirt almost in your water, because they're real, it's like real grainy, real dark and black. So it's not dirt, it's eggs. Then next, so it's, I guess the best way to put it is, mosquitoes, they need water. All their life cycle revolves around water, because the next stage is larva. And we call them little squigglies. So if you go and you move your water and you see things kind of dive down to the bottom, those are mosquito larvae. They're trying to hide because they don't want to get eaten. They think you might be a bird. So that's what we have next. In the heat, they can grow pretty quickly. So think the normal life cycle in the summertime when it's about 80 degrees outside, they can go from egg to adult in about 3 to 5 days. So it's really quick. And then next we have the pupa stage. So if you think about a butterfly, it's that kind of cocoon stage. They're not very active, they don't eat, they are mobile, they can move around in the water, but they're just waiting to turn into an adult, which is next. We have here, you can see the adult emerging out of the pupa form. And so when that happens, then the life cycle just starts all over again. And so, like I said here, 3 to 5 days in the summertime, really quick turnaround for mosquitoes. That's why you see them more commonly in the summertime. That's what we call mosquito season, which this year we haven't really had that much cool weather, so it's kind of been mosquito season all year round, which is unfortunate. So So here is the adult female. As you can see, let's see where am I leaving? I have so much stuff in my hands. Oh my goodness. Okay.
The laser pointer on the clicker.
Oh, is it? How many? There we go. So as you can see, this is her, we'll call it her stomach. It's called her abdomen. That is super thin. There's not much going on. But when she takes her blood meal, you can see how it becomes enlarged.
Wow.
I know it's gross. But after this, she'll be ready to go ahead, and all she needs to do is mate, and then she can lay eggs. Go ahead.
Of a group, say 300 eggs, would you expect an equal number of male and female, or heavily female?
That's a good question. My
What would be the purpose of
entomologist.
the male, I guess. I mean, just like, other than, do they do anything else other, like bothering people or anything like that?
Well, the males, they don't take a blood meal. All they do is they go and they kind of hang out in some like bushes and things like that. They eat nectar, and they're waiting for the females to come along. But they won't bite you. Then the way that you can tell the difference is males have their antenna, or we call them plumose antennas. They're really, really, really fuzzy. So those are the males. I'm not 100% sure out of the 300 eggs how many are male and female. The only thing I know with sea turtles, it depends on the temperature of the eggs, and that will affect the sex, but as far as mosquitoes, I'm not sure. I wish Chris Conlon, he's our supervising ecologist, he knows so much, he knows way more than I will ever know about bugs. I wish he was here. I can always pass along that question and get it answered for you, though, if you're curious.
Question?
Yes.
How long do the adults last?
So there's a lot of speculation about that, depending on the species of the mosquito. I've heard a few weeks to a month. Also, there's been a lot of speculation on how far they can fly. Some are a lot stronger flyers than others. Some can fly, up to a half mile. Others have been known to fly further than that. So it all depends on the species and genetics, I guess, as well. Like who's the strongest out of them all. So. Okay. So the most common diseases that we're concerned about it's called, oh man, I should have not abbreviated these. Okay, so St. Louis encephalitis, Western equine encephalitis, West Nile virus, chikungunya, dengue, malaria, yellow fever, and now Zika virus, unfortunately. Those are the big ones. So what is West Nile virus? I know you've probably all heard of it, but what really is it? So it's a mosquito. It's a disease that can be transmitted by mosquitoes, and it also infects birds. So we have here, it's a fake dead crow, but its purpose is to show you that if you see crows like this that are dead during the summertime, they may have had West Nile virus. They get infected, they get sick, and then they'll pass on. So that can also infect, as you know, humans. Horses are also a big one. There is a vaccine though for horses. If you do have horses, they can be vaccinated against West Nile virus and be protected. And other mammals as well. So where did it come from? Well, it came from the other half of the world. Africa, West Asia, the Middle East, and it was first discovered in Uganda in 1937. And it's very closely related to St. Louis encephalitis, which was, when it came to the United States in 1999, a lot of people who were getting sick up in New York, they thought that's what it was. Oh, it's just St. Louis encephalitis, because it had never been discovered in the United States before. So, like I said, it was discovered in 1999. It was in the Bronx Zoo in flamingos. And so it was actually a veterinarian pathologist who discovered the disease and had it documented. She came up against a lot of people telling her, oh no, it's not that, you're wrong. But she persisted, and then we came to find out that it really was West Nile virus. So, and by 2003, West Nile virus had become a disease that was coast to coast. And being from Dallas, just gonna throw this out there, 2012 was our really bad year for West Nile virus, and it's kind of what got me started into all of this. It got me interested. So, thankfully, we haven't had quite as bad of numbers here as we had there. So, how is it transmitted? So a female mosquito is the only one, but again, males don't bite, so they won't vector the disease. But female mosquitoes will bite an infected bird who has West Nile virus. They'll get the disease, and then they can go on and pass it along to another human, another bird, or a horse, or any other animal, mammal that can become infected. So it's not, if you see a dead bird, we prefer you to not touch it. I don't like going and touching dead animals, I don't know about you. But if you do see a dead bird, especially a crow, or a raven, or a scrub jay, those are the ones we're primarily concerned about. Even hawks as well, the red-shouldered hawks. Go ahead and give us a call. I have our number on here multiple times. We'll send a technician out to the area. They'll come and pick it up. They'll bring it back to our lab, and we'll test it to see if it has West Nile virus. And then also, it's not a person-to-person disease, like the common cold. That's not how you get West Nile virus. So this is just a picture of the transmission cycle. As I said before, mosquito bites the bird, then bites the human, passes on the disease. It's pretty simple. Whereas, like, for instance, Zika is only between, there's no bird reservoir. It's just between mosquitoes and humans. So as far as the disease, it can be anywhere from 3 to 14 days for the incubation period. There's 3 kind of illnesses that are common with it. So you have the asymptomatic cases. It's really the most common that we see. About 80% of the cases, they get West Nile virus, won't have any symptoms, won't even know that they have it. That's why we have blood donors sometimes who come up that have West Nile virus. There's also the mild infection, so that's about 20% of cases. It's very flu-like, so it's not specific at all. You know, headache, pain, joint pain, fever, and you're kind of over it in a few days. So you don't really, a lot of people don't know that they have it, and they won't go to the doctor because they think, oh, I just got a cold from someone, it'll pass on. And then unfortunately, there's also the severe infection, which is a neurologic infection, and that's in about 1% of our cases. So they'll get more encephalitis kind of thing, so brain swelling, temporary paralysis is also another thing. That's the one we're most concerned about. We don't want anybody getting sick like that. And then for you to be diagnosed, you have to take a blood sample. Yes?
Does it stay in your system? So if you get this and you say you're asymptomatic, you never know, can it come up again later if you have a weakened immune system? Or
I don't believe so. You'll have the antibodies, so when you do get if you do like a blood drive, it'll show up. Those antibodies will show up, but I don't believe the infection ever comes back. Okay, so it's about 3 to 14 days of symptoms. Mild infections usually pass within a few days, and then more severe infections can last several weeks and have long-lasting neurological effects. Unfortunately, there's no vaccine, there's no specific treatment for West Nile virus. I know that's something that they're working on, but it's not been possible just yet. It is, but I did say earlier, there is a vaccine for horses, which is really good. If you have horses, I guess. But the best thing is, you know, you can go to the hospital, get IV fluids, make sure you're not dehydrated, kind of monitor your temperature, that kind of thing. So who's the most at risk? So I have on here that people over the age of 50. It's also true for the very young children whose immune systems aren't quite as strong as middle-aged people.
Oh, that hurts.
Which is scary because I just had my birthday the other day and I'm slowly approaching middle age, believe it or not. So according to the medical examiner, yeah, it's quite right. Yeah.
You're middle age, 30?
Yeah. 35 is middle aged according to the medical examiner. I was sitting there and I was like, wait, how many years?
that means I'm a false.
Okay, moving on. So, since there's no treatment for West Nile virus, the best thing that you guys can do is to protect yourself and to prevent mosquito breeding. So, as far as other animals, like I said, birds, those are the big ones. So, and then also tree squirrels have been found to carry West Nile virus. Horses can be infected, and then a couple other mammals can get the virus, but a lot of times they won't show that they're actually sick, they're just a carrier. Yes?
Can house pets get it?
So are you talking about like dogs and cats?
Yeah.
I don't think so. We have no documented cases. I don't think there's been any research that's shown that either. That would be something I would be concerned about as well, but no. So this is a map of last year. Unfortunately, 2015, besides 2008, 2015 was our worst year of West Nile virus. We had a very, very active year, which was great since I started in August and I kind of got thrown in the deep end of the pool. Welcome to your new job. Welcome to all of this. So we have totals on the next screen. We had 44 human cases. We had 367 birds test positive for West Nile. We had 49 mosquito pools, and a mosquito pool is just a collection of mosquitoes from a single trap. So we set out traps, and they can have, I think it's anywhere less than 50 mosquitoes is considered a mosquito pool. 12 positive sentinel chickens, and 1 positive horse.
It's a sentinel chicken.
So we have, I know I have a picture, we have chicken flocks that we put around the county. Last year we had 3, this year we have 2 flocks. And so chickens are a really good way to measure what's going on. You kind of stick them out there in their coop, they can't go anywhere, that's where they're going to be for the next 6 months. And if we go every 2 weeks and bleed the chickens, we test them to see if they have the virus. That way we know if the virus is in that area. So that's what I mean by sentinel chickens. Yes.
All over the county or
Yeah.
the concentrations?
So, okay.
It's hard to see that.
I know it's so small. So the green, ooh, wrong way. The green here, those are mosquito pools. All the black dots you see, those are birds. So the birds are everywhere, all over the county. And then all these red triangles right here, these are human cases that we got. So they were pretty spread out as well. And here as well.
Now, how many did we have last year? How many people?
44.
How many over the age of 50?
Ooh, I'd have to look online. We post all of our information online. It's all available to the public. We have, for humans, we have to respect confidentiality, so we put age, sex, where they live, and when the test result came back.
How many deaths out of those 44?
We had 6 deaths, unfortunately.
Wow.
So that really ties into what we do. So summer is all about West Nile. We have all these different branches. So we have our surveillance branch. They're the guys that go out and set traps. Then we have the dead bird testing. All of our technicians are trained to go pick up dead birds throughout the county. We have our sentinel chickens. We do mosquito control. We also provide mosquito fish. And we do public outreach, which is what me and Emily mainly do. So as far as surveillance, I don't know if any of you have ever seen these lovely traps hanging around the county, but what it is, I'll explain. I'm gonna get better about managing what's in my hands. Okay, so this right here is a dispenser of CO2, because when mosquitoes are looking for you, that's how they find you. They can sense that CO2 emission, and so they're attracted to the traps that way, because it gets let out right about here. And then this right here is a fan that we have turned on. And so when the mosquitoes come over here, they get sucked down into the trap, into this net right here. So when we go out and collect the traps, all we have to do is take this baggie back with us. We take the whole thing, but the bag goes back and we freeze the mosquitoes, and then they get tested for West Nile virus.
Question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Back on your map, I'm sorry I didn't
No.
ask you when you were there.
Mhm.
So it appears, according to that map, that the concentration of all these, evidence of West Nile virus is really in the urban, highly dense urban part of San Diego, and less in the rural. And it just seems like that's unusual, because in the rural areas, you're going to find more
Right.
dead animals, you're going to find more standing water. I make that up, but
No, I understand your point. So what you have to realize about the mosquito that carries West Nile virus, our main vector here is Culex tarsalis. It's an urban mosquito. It likes the urban settings. It's not a rural mosquito. It doesn't like the solitude of the rural areas, I guess. No. It really likes that kind of that water that pools around storm drains and the water that sits in your backyard. That's why it's more common in urban areas. So we do, I know it seems like a lot, and trust me, it's terrifying to look at the map and be like, oh, that's the entire season right there. But our technicians are fantastic. They work their butts off. There's, let me think, I don't even know how many technicians we have, but it's not a large team. It's under 20 for the entire county. And they're into different groups. And so each one has specific sites that they go out and they treat every week. And they keep, I mean, I think there's over 400 sites they treat by hand, I believe. And for aerials, which we're going to start tomorrow, we do an aerial larvicide application. We have 48 large bodies of water that we treat as well. So it's just, a lot of it is, we treat with, so we don't do any spraying. I want to make that very, very clear. No fogging, no spraying, none of that. It's a granule of corn that's been ground up, and we put, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for, implanted with bacteria. So it's a naturally occurring bacteria found in the environment, and it targets the gut of mosquito larvae. Yes, that's it. And so it's the same stuff that's used in, I believe, mosquito dunks. So that's what we treat, for instance, lagoons with. That way we can keep the numbers down in those areas of mosquitoes. And if we don't have as many mosquitoes, we hope to not have as much disease. Yes?
Just a few things. Good question. If you had West Nile and you didn't get a blood test or you feel fine, you would never know. Does it stay in your body for a long time? Is it something that goes away?
You'll have antibodies for the disease. So you won't be sick, but if you ever do get tested for it along the way, or if you happen to donate blood, you'll know that way.
So if you're infected once, you keep it your whole life?
I believe so. You just have antibodies for it.
So
It's not the virus.
it's not the active virus.
So my other question was, and it looks like you're going to move on to the only reason, is that I've always heard that people have certain smells and the CO2, et cetera, because you could be in a forest and people get swamped and the next person next to you doesn't get anything. And I've seen people try a million different ways. Is there something that you recommend for less mosquitoes? Is there something that they recommend in people's households? No.
I am going to go into that. As far as one person being more attractive to mosquitoes than the other, there's been no scientific studies on that have proved that, oh, if you have vitamin B, they won't like you as much as the next person. I know that there's lots of theories out there. Again, my speculation is it's all about CO2 emission. Maybe one person emits more CO2 than the next and they're more attracted to that person. That could be possible, but there's no proof of why one person is better at attracting mosquitoes than the next. Was there, oh yes, go ahead.
You said you treat lagoons. You
Mhm.
do that every year?
Yes.
And it's like Mosquitoes, I just want to make sure my lagoon. Because they are massive around there.
Yeah, and those areas, the main reason we do it by helicopter is because those areas are so large that it's really very difficult to treat by hand. We have an entire list online, and now this year it's 48 sites that we're treating of every area that's going to be treated by helicopter. And we are starting our first aerial application tomorrow. We'll start around 7 a.m. and go all day. So you can find the list online. As well as doing regular surveillance, we also have a contract out with the helicopters, so we can go find green stagnant pools.
Yeah, baby.
So unfortunately, that is a real green pool. I know that pools are a lot of maintenance for some people during the winter time. You know, you don't want to deal with it. You turn the filter and the pump off. You're not using it. You just, whatever, I'll just let it be. Well, unfortunately, that's a great source for mosquitoes to breed in and lay their eggs. So we go out and we try to find these pools. That way we can put mosquito fish in them, or we can get some kind of treatment in those pools. That way they won't be breeding a lot of mosquitoes. We have a whole program set up for green pools. That way if you happen to notice that maybe your neighbor has a green pool, I know that happens quite frequently. You can call it in, let us know, we'll handle it. That way you don't have to get in a dispute with your neighbor.
Is there a fine?
There is no fine, no. That's one thing about Vector. We don't want to get anybody in trouble. We don't want anybody to be nervous about calling us. Our services are free. We're very friendly people. We just want to get out there and protect everyone against diseases and just public health problems as well. So no fines. Yes?
Sorry, I know this is a terribly silly question, but with all of the negative attributes of mosquitoes, is there anything that has been related to them? Do they bring a benefit ever?
That's actually not the first time I've been asked that question. You know, they're not all bad. When I was studying in my college degree, that's what I really enjoyed, looking at mosquitoes under the microscope. I know they're a huge pain in the butt. But you have to think about it this way. Everything's part of an ecosystem. Everything plays a role in some way or another. Something is going to eat them, be it mosquito fish or birds. You know, it's part of the system. I know there's a lot of people who think, oh, we should just get rid of them all. But my concern is, well, that's great, but what's going to happen after that if we get rid of all the mosquitoes? Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but we won't know until 50 years later, until we probably have another problem on our hands. So bugs are really resistant. They learn how to adapt very well, and it's kind of scary, but I won't get into that. That's a whole other talk.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
How effective are bats at keeping mosquito numbers down?
Oh, how effective are bats at keeping mosquitoes down? I know here, that is not a really good question for me to answer.
That's a great question.
It's a good question. I just don't know. I can definitely pass that question along and find out. The question was, how effective are bats at controlling mosquito populations, at keeping the numbers of mosquitoes down? And I don't know. That is a good question. I'll find out for you though.
I heard when I went to.
Could you hold your questions until the end, the last 5 minutes?
I saw a lady talk about bats in the humane shelter. She said,
Okay,
when you get going,
so
you can do
green pools,
2,000 a
moving
minute.
on. Oops. As I said before, the birds we collect, they just need to be,
There's a bat lady.
I don't know what a nice way to say this, but they need to be dead for less than 24 hours. That way they're viable. And they also need to not have ants all over them. Unfortunately, ants, the first thing they go towards are the eyes, and they test the fluid in the eyes for the disease. So that needs to still be intact. And here's our number right here. I'll also have it again later. It's also all in our pamphlets if you want to call us. These are our chickens that we test. So here's an example of just I think it's a cup out in the backyard. All those little squiggly things you see in that cup, those are mosquito larvae. So all of these, this is all mosquito larvae. So when we do find that, we do go out and control that. So our technicians do a lot of ground application by hand. If they know of waterways that'll hold water, or if they know during a certain time of the year with rain, if a storm drain will be backed up, they do have a record of that. They do go out and treat by hand. If they don't know about it and you're finding that there's a common source on your street or wherever that's really breeding mosquitoes, call us up, let us know. We'll get a technician out there within, I believe, 3 business days. Okay, so I kind of already talked about this. This is our aerial larvicide application, which starts tomorrow, so I'll just keep moving on. Another section of what we do is public outreach. That's what me and Emily and my coworker Myra all do. We go out to fairs, we do presentations, we go to schools. Anything you could possibly want, we probably do. We help with press releases, media events. We just had our big media event about 2 weeks ago, letting the public know that West Nile virus season is starting, mosquito season is starting. It's time to start looking in your backyard and seeing where water can collect, and that way you can dump it out. Yeah, so we do a lot of things. We're a multifunction team. So we have this awesome picture that shows very common areas in your backyard that mosquito breeding can commonly occur. So tree holes will collect water. Also children's toys like wagons. You're going to want to make sure that the screens on your windows and your doors are patched up because mosquitoes can get through that. Storm drains, leaky faucets, watering cans, pots, wheelbarrows, cover your trash cans, Old tires are really excellent. Mosquitoes, for some reason, really love tires. I'm not sure why, but I don't know if you've ever tried to flip water out of a tire. It's very difficult. And then bird baths. Make sure if you're going to have a bird bath, I support that. Just make sure you change out the water weekly. Also, your fountains or your pools that are, or if you have a pond in your backyard, you can call us up and get some free mosquito fish, or if you would like to treat that with mosquito dunks, those are available at Home Depot. Mosquito dunks, they look like a donut. It's just a little donut and it's kind of gray. They sell them, I think they're like 6 or 8 in a pack. And I believe they last for a month.
What would happen if you put the mosquito dunk in a bird bath?
In a bird bath? They shouldn't. I mean, what they're using it's not supposed to harm any animals that come into contact with it, so they should be perfect. It should be okay to set in there.
Is it spelled D-U-N-K, dunk?
D-U-N-K, dunk, yes. So just a couple more examples. There's a storm drain that's been clogged. Also the area around these saucers around, oh my gosh, a flower pot, thank you. Can also collect water. Sometimes my mind goes about, 10,000 miles a minute, as you can probably hear me. I'm like, la, 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 la. So I sometimes forget what I'm saying. So thank you for the help.
It's middle age.
Touche. Oh man, okay. Also green swimming pools. These are our nice mosquito fish that we do breed. We have a whole aquifer kind of thing set up to have mosquito fish for the mosquito season. They can be put in fountains, ponds, and any unused pools. And they will eat all of your mosquito larvae, so you don't have to worry about treating those areas. You just kind of put them in there and forget about it. They're very hardy fish, so they can take hot temperatures. I don't think they can take super cold temperatures, but you shouldn't have to really worry about them. And again, they are free. If you walk over to our building over by the medical examiner office, we're adjacent to that. You can pick them up there, or Emily has I printed out a list of all of our distribution sites for where you can pick up mosquito fish. That way, if it's close to you, you can just go there. Yes?
You're from Texas. Do they have mosquito fish in Texas as well?
Not that I'm aware of. This was new to me. There was a lot of things moving here that were very different than Texas. So, again, you want to either repair or install some window screens if you want to have your windows open during the summertime. For preventing mosquito bites. All right, so prevent, protect, report. Prevent, wear long sleeves. Wear mosquito repellent that either has DEET in it, or if you want to use something more natural, lemon eucalyptus oil is really great as well. Let's see. Oh, dusk and dawn is a big one for West Nile virus. If you're going to go out at dusk and dawn, again, make sure you wear long sleeves, long pants, or also wear mosquito repellent. Let's see. Yep, these are the common ones that we promote because they have been proven by the CDC to be the most effective. Oh, side note, bug zappers, they don't really do anything for mosquitoes. This is just kind of a waste of money, so. And then, how can you guys help? Eliminate standing water. But if you are collecting rainwater, since we are in a terrible drought, get some mosquito fish in there. They'll take care of it, and you can still use your rain barrels or containers that you want to collect water in. And that's about it. Mosquito fish, report dead birds, report mosquito breeding.
That's not Sentinel candles. No good?
No, not really, no. Sorry. And then just a quick side note about some other mosquitoes that we've recently got in San Diego. They're called invasive Aedes mosquitoes. We've got Aedes albopictus, which is the Asian tiger mosquito, and Aedes aegypti, the yellow fever mosquito. These have recently made a home in the last 2 years here. Oh. And they can transmit dengue, chikungunya, yellow fever, and Zika. Thankfully, we don't have any of those diseases here in the county. When we do get Zika cases, we are very aware. We make sure those mosquitoes aren't in that area. So, because what has to happen is if someone has Zika, that specific mosquito has to bite them while they're viremic. So they have to have the symptoms. So it's a very, very short period of time that that specific mosquito has to bite them and then can infect other people. So don't worry, we are very aware of the situation. They are daytime biters, unlike the Culex mosquitoes, which like to bite during dusk and dawn. They also will lay their eggs in very small containers, and unfortunately their eggs are resistant to drying out. So in addition to dumping your water, if you could also wipe out those plant saucers for us, that would be really great. I know it's a pain. So these are some indoor sources that have been known to have these mosquitoes in them. So changing out your water will help that. And then as far as outdoor sources, we've got some pots over there, plant saucer. The bromeliads can sometimes hold water in the inside. You can just kind of rinse them out, and it should flush everything out of them. Okay, that's it for mosquitoes. On to rats really quick. Okay, rats. We all love rats, don't we? Okay, so they unfortunately have been known to spread disease. They can contaminate your food, and they can cause a lot of damage because they love to chew things. Yes. So they're mostly active at night, so if you do see them during the day, that either means that there are more rats lurking nearby, or they've taken poison, and a lot of times that just has some neurological effects, and so they'll kind of wander around during the daytime. They do eat plants and meat. So the three that we're mainly concerned of in San Diego is, the big one is the roof rat, which likes to climb and live above ground. We also have the Norway rat. It's bigger than roof rats, but they're not as common here, and they usually burrow outside. We also have wood rats, but those are usually in outhouses or sticks and debris. They're more of a rural rat. So the signs of rats in your home/area. Rat droppings are a big one. If you have rat droppings, you do have rats around. The grease marks, which I have good pictures of coming up. Pals have been eaten. They love snails. They love, love, love snails. Gnawing and chewing marks. Any kind of destroyed plants that have been chewed up. Also food containers, they can be chewed up as well. So this is an example. They got some snail shells. I don't know why they love snails so much, but they really do. That and macadamia nuts. So if you see macadamia nuts chewed up, it could potentially also be rats.
Pine nuts too.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. They're pesky. And then as you can see, the grease marks on here and here. So because rats can't see very well, they have a grease on them. They like to go up against fences. They like to go up against walls. They can't see really well, so they're using it as a guide. So that's where you see these grease marks. And then they can also they like thick vegetation, and also they can be, as I'm sure you know, in your walls and attics if they do happen to get inside the home. They also can be found in wood piles and trash and debris. Trash is a free buffet for them. They like to go through there and get what they can eat. So how do I get rid of rats? If I have rats, how do I get rid of them? So the first thing is you want to rat-proof your home. So you're going to check outside your home. We also, side note, we have a technician that if you want help seeing where your rats might be coming in, you can call us up and schedule a free rat inspection. They are excellent. They can find the smallest holes. I don't know how they do it, but they'll be able to see where they might be coming into your home. So the biggest thing, again, check for holes and gaps. You want to repair those. You also want to put weather stripping under your doors. Rats, unfortunately, they only need the size of a quarter. Mice need the size of a dime to get into your house. They can just squeeze through those holes. Crazy. Let's see. So cabinets, stucco drip edge, your floor drains, your utility connections. So when you find those holes, you want to get some, it's a 1/4 inch, 18 to 22 gauge hard wire cloth. It needs to be metal. They can't chew through metal. Go ahead.
Is this going to be up on the Master Gardener website for future reference?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So you want to use that to seal up holes. You can also use sheets of wood. Then also it's called hardware, there we go, cloth with expanding foam for insulation is another way you can seal up your holes. So the second thing is food and water. You want to get rid of that. They're looking for 3 things: shelter, food, and water. So garbage cans need to be closed. If you're going to feed your pet outside, which is perfectly fine, make sure you pick up the food when they're done with it. If they're not, you don't want to leave it out all night. Also, if you have any fruit trees, make sure you pick up your ripe fruit because they will eat it. And I was going to say, can you spot the rat? That is right there. As far as trapping, so when you trap, we really don't want you to use poison inside your home. It's very, very dangerous, especially if you have children. We don't want them getting into that. So you need to put the traps where you've seen the rats. That's how it's the best way you're going to catch them. And then also, a lot of times rats will run off with your traps, so you want to tie them down. They're very sneaky. And then, of course, keep children and pets away from the traps. So this is just an example. All right, so if you're gonna bait, what you're gonna do in your house, like whatever they're eating, use that. I've heard there was a woman, she had a bunch of herbs in her garden, and I told her, I said, that's just an all-you-can-eat herb garden buffet. Take what they're eating. And so peanut butter, dog food, macadamia nuts, whatever it is, put that in the trap. They're going to eat it. You want to put the bait side up against the wall where they're going across and place the edges of the trap square against the wall because that's where they're going to run across. That's how you're going to catch them. And then only use bait after rat proofing has been completed. Use poison outside if you are going to use it, outside the home, and make sure you really follow the directions. They're on there for a reason, for safety reasons. And then also place bait stations in protected areas, such as under wood piles or vegetation. And then you're going to want to check those stations at least twice a week. So the next thing you want to do is eliminate their habitat. So remove any trash or debris. For instance, this wood pile is an excellent example of how you want to stack your wood pile. You need it to be 12 inches away from the wall or the fence and 18 inches above the ground. And I'm going to butcher this. Bougainvillea, is that Bougainvillea?
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, I'm from Texas. Give me some slack. They absolutely love this stuff. It's so beautiful. I love it here. It's gorgeous. Just make sure it's trimmed back because they do like to live in that, unfortunately. So. And palm trees, of course. So they can carry a few diseases. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that because I'm also running very behind on time. But plague is known to be commonly associated with them. We don't have any signs of that here. It's from the fleas that can get on the rats. Food poisoning, because they have their little rat hands that can go across different nasty things and you put it on your food. Tapeworms, and then rat bite fever. So how can we help? So we do on-site property assessments. So you call us up, say, I have a problem with rats, or I have a problem with mice. Can I get a technician out there to help me out? Sure, no problem. So call us up, we'll schedule an inspection. Our technicians will get back to you in 3 business days. They'll come out, they'll walk around your house, inside your house, show them where you think that they're coming in. Show them if you've seen rat droppings. They're there to help you out. They'll show you where you need to patch up different holes or give you advice on what they think can keep them out. But just remember that rats are a part of our ecosystem, unfortunately. They are native here. They do live here. So if you're seeing them in your backyard, sometimes there's not much we can do about that. As long as they're not in your house, that's the biggest thing that we're concerned about. And they'll give you it's called a rodent control starter kit. So they do provide these really nice snap traps right here that you can put against your fence or your wall at your home and set it up. And then, okay, I'm almost done. Yes. Visit our website, stvector.com, that we have a ton of information as far as what's coming back positive for West Nile virus, any mosquito fish information, rat information, anything like that is going to be on there. Go ahead.
Just a really quick suggestion, if you're trying to reach out to the public, I don't think many people would know what vector control means. Mm-hmm. So if you said rat control, you'd have a lot more interest from the public than vector control. Just a suggestion maybe on how to reach it.
I agree. No, I do agree. Unfortunately, that's above my pay grade to make those decisions. So I'm at the bottom of the totem pole.
Might be your pay grade.
I wish. Well, if it was only that easy. Right?
If your pets kill rats regularly and then your pets are in the house, this is my case, sorry,
Right.
this is a personal question in a way, but it's gotta be common.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a problem with then letting my cat in the house?
There shouldn't be.
Okay.
Just don't let them bring the rat in the house.
Must be a cheat.
Right? But there's not a flea problem, 'cause, I mean, I treat her for fleas, but,
Right.
you know, we live inside, outside all day long. So.
I don't think there should be a problem.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know who was first, so I'll go over there.
Address owl boxes and their effectiveness.
I'm sorry?
Could you please address owl boxes, which are being advertised everywhere as a control for rats? Are they really, does anyone have them, are they really that effective?
I didn't even know about that.
It's in the article.
I have no idea, but I will look into that for you.
I've raised owls for about 7 years, and I get 2 families a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll get about two rats a night, you know, when they're babies.
Wow.
But they won't get them in the first quarter of a mile where you live.
Yeah.
So have your neighbor.
Tell your neighbors.
Way to go, Greg.
And they work great.
Yes.
If you use bait on a rat
Mm-hmm.
and it dies,
Mhm.
will it die somewhere where another animal won't get to it? Or is it a problem, like say if another animal comes and eats it with poison?
So that is, yes, is the short answer. So if it does die from poison and then another animal comes along and eats it, that animal can then become affected from that poison. So that's one reason why, especially if you have dogs or cats, we say it's best not to use poison in your backyard because what if they go after that rat? And that's not something we want.
What about the Coumadin? The Coumadin style rat?
I'm not sure.
Anticoagulant.
Right.
That's not a secondary killer, is it?
I don't, honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Is it?
I would think it would be, but I'm not 100% sure.
Julie.
Yes.
Just the questions that you're talking about are great questions, and our expert this afternoon, Dr. Neve Quinn, who's a vertebrate specialist, will be able to probably address those questions. So jot those down and make sure that you talk to Neve about those questions, and these are some good questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Comment, I just wanted to thank Vector Control, which came out a few years ago to our house in Coronado and got rid of rats.
Well, that's good news. Thanks. We like hearing stuff like that. We know we're doing our job then.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Is there an area in the county that rats are more prevalent? Are they more urban, or is it just completely widespread you're talking about?
I think they're pretty widespread. I know a lot of times for people who live next to canyons have a little bit more issues than others because they're coming from there, those areas. But I'm pretty sure they're just a countywide problem. Yeah, that was my last slide. So, any other questions? Well, thank you so much for having me.